It sends up to 80% of the power to the rear wheels, has a sophisticated multi-link suspension, comes with driver-selectable performance modes, and costs as much as a German luxury sedan. But this isn't a sports sedan, it's Toyota's 2025 Sienna Platinum all-wheel drive, a hybrid minivan that thinks it's graduated from racing school. And with 245 horsepower and some genuinely clever engineering, it's actually pretty interesting to drive. But the question is, should anybody care? What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Max Racer, lover of driving fast, fun things. And on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, the Sienna is a popular choice among the minivan set, and it has been updated for 2025, so we definitely have to look at this. And there is a lot going on here. And before we get into what it's like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. For 2025, there are some changes that are noteworthy. On the outside, there are some styling updates, but on the inside, that's where the magic happens. There's a fridge box and an integrated vacuum, which is very important for those busy families who buy multi-passenger minivans like this. As well, there's wireless charging that is the latest gen and an updated infotainment system. The gasoline motor is a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated four-cylinder, makes 189 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 176 pounds of torque at 4,400 RPM. Add in the electric motor and total system output is 245 horsepower. Transmission's an electronically controlled CVT with electronic on-demand all-wheel drive with an independent rear electric motor that makes 54 horsepower, 89 pounds of torque. The all-wheel drive system can send up to 80% of power to the rear wheels, which is coincidentally the same percentage of snacks that end up on the backseat floor. Suspension's based around McPherson struts at the front, multi-link at the rear with conventional dampers. Steering is electrically assisted. Four-wheel disc brakes as you'd expect. Wheels and tires are 20s. Towing capacity is a meaningful 3,500 pounds, and curb weight of this top-spec Sienna is a little over 4,700 pounds.
Did you know that 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. 80% of you are not subscribed. I checked the data. So if you like the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, make sure you like this, and if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode.
People buy minivans for lots of reasons, mostly to haul lots of people around or lots of stuff or some combination thereof. But one of the big pluses, one of the big upsides of a minivan is excellent visibility. And that's straight off the top. You do have a taller seating position than you would have in a sedan by any stretch of the imagination. It is fantastic. And there's glass all around. On top of that, we have big outboard mirrors, and at this trim level, we do have a camera mirror. And between the camera mirror and its wide angle view, as well as the big outboard mirrors, blind spots aren't a thing. They simply don't exist. Plus, on this channel, we know if you adjust your mirrors properly, blind spots aren't a thing. This seating position is everything a crossover and SUV wishes it could be. That hip point is absolutely perfect. Getting in and out of this thing is so easy. You sit high enough to see over traffic, but low enough to reach the fridge box without pulling a hamstring, and that's important for me. And yes, Toyota's put a fridge in the Sienna because nothing says I've made it like having chilled juice boxes on demand. The steering wheel's got more buttons than a NASA control panel, but they're actually logically arranged, unlike your kid's Minecraft fortress. Everything's arranged intuitively with the precision of a German luxury sedan, but without the check engine light anxiety. Once I'm here, very happy with my relationship to the steering wheel and to the pedals. Very straightforward. Love that steering wheel's great shape, great size. Here it's heated, and the heated zones are here at 9 and 3, where your hands should be. The seat is designed for comfort first, more than lateral support in the corners, that's for sure. But it is very, very comfortable and supportive over long drives. Really appreciate that. Here at this trim level, it's also heated and cooled, so that's helpful, and it's been very cold during this week of testing, and I've definitely appreciated the heated seats. Ergonomically, It's modern Toyota, which means it is very straightforward. There's no learning curve to any of the controls, primary, secondary, or tertiary. Very, very straightforward. Everything is logically laid out, and really appreciate that, because if you're driving one of these, you probably have a young family and you're busy and you don't need to worry about where to find this control or that control, because everything is laid out in a straightforward manner. It makes things so much easier and certainly that much safer. This instrument cluster is all digital and it is clear in all lighting conditions, gives you all the information you want. The infotainment system I run on wireless CarPlay. My phone's sitting there on the wireless charger. I think you can connect this wired as well, and it works wonderfully. Climate control's very straightforward as well, and they're all switch-based. It's not a touch-based control pad. Really appreciate that. I also have to mention the shifter. Even though it is electronic, it's got a great mechanical feel, so you can't screw up your gear selection. In terms of spaciousness, well, there's not much to say. This is a minivan. It is enormous in here. What I have appreciated is the fact that those rear seats, that third row, those seats fold right into the floor. During my time with this Sienna, I've actually gone on a snowboarding trip, and the ease of that third row to fold up or fold down makes the whole thing very, very easy to live with. There's also a built-in vacuum, because I think Toyota's realized that that's what parents want, because, you know, Cheerios are the glitter of the minivan world. For all the fast cars that I've driven and the racetracks that I've driven all over the world, nothing taxes your ability to drive like trying to park this Sienna when the backup camera is covered in winter slush. A GR Supra, this is not. 0 to 60 happens in about 7.5 seconds, which is quick enough, and the entire hybrid drivetrain is responsive enough to get you off the line or up to speed on the highway quickly. Top speed is a responsible 116 miles an hour or so, which is more than enough speed to get you in trouble in this part of the world, that's for sure. And everybody laughs at a hybrid until you realize that this entire hybrid powertrain is smarter than a Silicon Valley startup. The electric motors kick in faster than your kid can say, "I forgot my homework." And the all-wheel drive system distributes power better than a kindergarten teacher hands out snacks. And that 0 to 60 time, well, who cares? This Sienna actually goes from "I'm late for soccer practice" to "barely made it" without breaking a sweat. And the instantaneous torque of the electric motor at the rear axle gives you all the confidence in low grip conditions. And again, during this week with this Sienna, I've driven it in a lot of snow, and the all-wheel drive system here gives me a lot of confidence to just basically go anywhere I want in the snow. The CVT, yes, it's an e-CVT, but it works like a CVT. So it does make the engine make some odd sounds relative to a geared transmission. Yes, I'd prefer a gearbox with multiple gears instead of this, but I understand why they make CVTs, because it gives you the best of all worlds, best performance, best efficiency, and kind of everything in between. Here's the thing, even in sport mode, there isn't a tachometer. There's a sort of power meter here. And yeah, the CVT does make that engine make some unusual sounds relative to a geared transmission. I get it, I understand, but I really would prefer a geared transmission in here just for those natural sounds. On the other hand, Toyota makes no pretense about it because there are no shift paddles on the back of the steering wheel. Yes, you can control the virtual gears manually by sliding the transmission over here, and yeah, it works just fine, but it's better when the CVT just does its thing. From a dynamics standpoint, there's a lot of things I do appreciate, starting with the brakes. They are strong, positive, and very easy to modulate. Really appreciate how these brakes work. And as we're slowing for a stop sign, let's just get into it here. Yeah, very positive brake pedal. And as a driver, a strong, confident brake pedal is your number one way of avoiding a collision. Steering is thankfully strong on center. Not a lot of feel or feedback here, but it is direct, precise, and an incredibly short turning radius as well. This thing basically turns on a dime despite its size and longer wheelbase. Ride and handling, Very much tuned for comfort. You and your passengers will be very, very comfortable here. No issues whatsoever on longer drives, and it's relatively quiet in here, save for that 4-cylinder engine noise from time to time. Nobody's bringing a Sienna to a track day unless they're actually bringing snacks to a track day, but it seems like Toyota didn't get that memo. Body roll is more controlled than a parent's temper at Disneyland. The suspension manages to absorb bumps and keep the van composed in the corners, which is like finding a babysitter who's both available and affordable. It's one of those things that shouldn't be possible, but here we are. And overall, the ride quality is so smooth, your kids are going to have to find excuses for spilling their drinks. How do you spec yours? Well, it's a fairly easy question to answer. What you are looking at is, of course, the Sienna Platinum all-wheel drive 7-passenger in celestial metallic paint with the macadamia interior. And this is fully optioned. Base price in the US is $56,905, and with every option as tested, this is $58,220. In Canada, the limited starts at $65,415. Then you add the platinum package for $4,830 for an as-tested price of $70,228 before freight and local taxes. At this price point, some of the competition offers leather and wood trim. Toyota gives you that plus a built-in vacuum because they know which one you'll actually appreciate at 2 a.m. In terms of speccing yours, I have some thoughts. Now, I do appreciate all of the tech and all of the features of this particular model as well. Love that macadamia interior, really brightens things up, and it's quite a contrast from a all black interior, that's for sure. As for this paint, well, this is great if you want to blend in and be boring, but there are some much more interesting colors that you can choose for your Sienna. My verdict, well, the first thing I have to say is that while I've been driving this Sienna for the last week, I've been looking at other minivans on the road, and other car makers seem to be making their minivans look more like SUVs. Well, Toyota's here making the Sienna work better than most SUVs. Now, in terms of fuel consumption, I can't do any better or worse than 26 miles per gallon, it seems, or 9 liters per 100 kilometers for my Canadian friends. I have been doing a lot of winter driving and a lot of city driving, and as far as I'm concerned, that's very impressive for me. I'd love to hear from Sienna hybrid owners and see what their real-world fuel consumption is. Toyota's attention to driving dynamics means this minivan handles family duty with a level of sophistication that you might not expect. The hybrid all-wheel drive system isn't just about fuel economy or bad weather capability, and it excels there, but it fundamentally changes how this vehicle drives. And in a segment where driving enjoyment usually ranks somewhere between the cup holder count and USB port numbers, that's actually kind of important. And sure, you could buy a 3-row crossover, but then you'd have less space than my excuses to go car racing again. And here's the thing. In context of the minivan market, this Sienna is simply a no-brainer. If you're looking for a minivan, you owe it to yourself to give a Sienna a try. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2025 Toyota Sienna Platinum. Hope you liked this episode, and if you did, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this, and as always, sharing is caring, so please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. And Toyota still makes manuals. Thanks, Toyota. Anyway, thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even Toyota Siennas. And since you've hung around this long, well, have a look at the last minivan I remember testing, which is the Kia Carnival. And we don't test too many minivans on this channel, so have a look. I think it'll provide an interesting contrast, and I hope you enjoy it. See you again next time.